guys, we are introducing to Below the Belt Show our special celebrity guest of the evening, guys. He is actor extraordinaire from Yellowstone on the Paramount Network, which is now in its third season. We have the one and the only Denim Richards on Below the
Hey,
Belt. What's up, Denim?
How's it going, guys? Excited to be here. Excited to have such a great conversation with you. So much to talk about. So I'm excited
There
to
is a
dive
lot
in
to
and cover
talk
the
about.
waterfront.
Yes, because like
that's a
summer's all
cool.
about like. Go ahead, Josh. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that's a cool first name.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah,
thank you. It's all about it's all about uniqueness, right? It's like it's always just kind of followed me throughout my life, so it only seems to make sense.
And that's your birth name.
That's what the Most High gave me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
yeah. I don't think I know a denim per se, except what's in my closet.
Yeah.
Well, but I promise you, I am far better than the denim jeans that you have in your closet.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I love it, dude.
I don't know. He has some some like true religion still though. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're a little
Yeah.
dated. This true
Yeah, I
religion.
mean, can we really even call those jeans then at that point? Like, come on, let's be real. You know?
Right.
Oh man. So Sabrina, I'm hoping that she will join us, but nonetheless, we will just go ahead and go on. So, anyways, Yellowstone, my man, great show, dude. Amazing production quality, and you're shooting in Montana and Park City, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm from already reading, but obviously the exterior shots, the beautiful state of Montana. I'm assuming yes.
Yeah, most of them, I would probably say like 80% of the exterior shots, I think probably are shot in Montana.
How
We do have
cool!
like, I think in season 3, we probably almost have it like, there's most of the exterior shots are actually in Utah, but they're in like different places like Thousand Peaks, Utah, which is about maybe 45 minutes outside of Park City. But the big landscape shots that you see that are just kind of like breathtaking, that's Montana. You can't get it anywhere else.
It's a beautiful, beautiful state. How do you enjoy shooting in that state? Because
Man, it's beautiful. Every time I go there, I always say that I gain like 10 years onto my life because I live in a city. And so being able to
right,
shoot kind of in the middle of nowhere where like 35 miles means 35 minutes, and it's just so
yeah,
peaceful and tranquil. So you're not constantly stressing all the time. And it's like the only downfall is really kind of interesting is because, all the places are mom and pops, which are awesome. But the
right,
interesting thing is, it's like usually, they'll be like, okay, we're open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. However, in a lot of these mom and pops in these smaller towns, if there's nobody there at 7 o'clock, they're done. Like they just shut that thing down. So for us, oftentimes if we're shooting on set late, you're just out of luck. But other than
yeah,
that, it's
oh,
just a beautiful thing. It's really nice to be able to see people actually like spend time with each other at coffee shops. They're not stressing about trying to get money in the meters and
right.
stuff like that. So you really kind of just get this sense of stillness. And I always say every time I'm there, I'm like, okay, when I get back to LA, this is what my life is going to be. And then 10 and a half seconds of me landing and jumping on the 405, I'm back just a complete and utter mess again. So it's really good. It's really good for me to be there.
And I love how you're saying it is a change of pace, but obviously people want to move to, remote states for peace and tranquility. But there's a lot of drama in this show.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of
We
shit going on.
there's a lot going on. I think it's the really interesting thing about this show, I think, is that we get to cover so many different kind of characteristics in society. We really we cover the kind of the business side, and we cover the land side, we cover the family side, and we kind of cover just the kind of good old boys, I guess, ranching style kind of situation. So it's kind of fun to get to like cover all of these different things. But then there is a lot of drama. So, I mean, it really is a kind of a testament to Taylor Sheridan and all the other great directors and EPs that we've had on the show to be able to kind of incorporate and thread all these things so seamlessly. And, just season after season, we've been so blessed because we also have like a phenomenal cast that we all actually like enjoy spending time together. So we're friends like off camera and on camera. So I think that just kind of adds to the dynamics of the show. So it's like there's a lot of drama, but we do not hate each other. Like we all actually enjoy each other.
Yes. So well, obviously, the cast is phenomenal, and of course, the legend in Kevin Costner.
Yes.
Uh, what's it like working with him? I mean, obviously, he's been in the business for so long, and has he giving you any pointers since he, as an acting legend,
Yeah,
that he is.
that's one of the things I think, when I first got on the show, what is this now, like 3 years ago, that's like the first thing, like, I remember we're all sitting in this big kitchen in Montana, and we're all kind of just like talking and meandering amongst ourselves, and then
Yeah.
like Ken walks in, and there's like a silence, and you're just like waiting for him to say something, and we all kind of sit down and like getting ready to do a table read, and he goes like, I don't know about you guys, but like I'm also nervous. And so it was cool,
Kevin Costner saying
just to
this.
kind of
Wow.
be like, because it's a different, when you're doing a show like this, the goal is to do it for the long haul, to do it for as
Yeah.
long as you're able to do it. So, it's been for him to be able to kind of lead this show and be the anchor for it. But it's also awesome because he's had so many things where he'll be like, one of the things like why they're setting up shots, he's like, he'll ask the camera assistant or something like that, like, hey, when does my shoulder come into frame? And then they're telling you, and then he'll turn to you and be like, it's really important to know every single time that any part of your body comes into frame, and think about this and think about that. So it's really been kind of cool because I've gained like 20 years of acting experience. So like Yellowstone, really, it's been like 10 years onto my life and then 20 years of acting experience. So really, you're talking to like a 75-year-old man at this point. So it's just really, really awesome. And he's been such a blessing just to be able to have, and I've learned so much as a writer and as a director, and just as an actor in general, for somebody who like, he loves doing this still, and for doing it for 4 decades, you never really know like how much do they really care about it, but he like loves it. He wants to know every detail, and so that's a really beautiful thing and refreshing to know that somebody that's been doing it for as long as he has to like care about it with all the details that he does. Like, that's really a testament to great work.
That's awesome. Of course,
yes. Do you talk to him like offset and like ask him about his old movies, and like do you have any of his favorite movies you have of his that you want to like get some insight into?
The best
Dreams
thing
or
about
something.
him, I think it really has been, I think the first time he actually grew up in Orange County, or he went to school in Orange County, and that's where I grew up as well. So that was like the first thing that he knew about me beforehand. So we kind of talked about that. He's a really big sports guy, loves baseball, and so it's like that was also kind of the thing. Mostly every guy can almost kind of bond over the sports thing, so that's like a really cool icebreaker. But there was never really anything specific. It was just like whenever you're around somebody that has done it for so long, it's really just about, for me, was about how you maintain it. Because your career is not about like 1 or 2 things that you do. It's the accumulation of the things that you're doing. And so that was the thing that I've always kind of just sat back and watched. And I think, he's dropped so many pieces of information. There's things that he thought were going to be great successes that weren't, and things that he didn't think were going to be great successes, but they were, but he believed in all of them. And I think that's kind of always been the biggest thing, that it's like, if you at least believe that what you're doing, you're never going to fail. There's always going to be a lesson in that you're going to learn. And so I think for me, that's kind of been like the biggest aspects of training that he's just dropped. But I think that's just like part of him. I don't even necessarily know if he even knows that he's doing it. It's just like, that's what he does. But for somebody like me, who's just like a leech, who just always wants more information, it's really been an amazing blessing.
So I watched the first 4 episodes of season 1, and then I watched the first 2 episodes of season 3 to kind of get a little caught up. And what a fun episode you had in episode 2 of this season, where you're playing this really crazy drinking game, and then lassoing up your buddies. And you work very closely with Wes Bentley in that scene. How did you enjoy shooting that scene?
Man, I think the bunkhouse scenes are like probably always like our favorites, because it's just it's the one great thing about this show is that Taylor, he got all the people that he wanted specifically. And the great thing is like there wasn't a lot of direction that he wanted to give for any of these things. And I think Stephen K was the director that directed these 2 episodes, but Taylor has wrote all of them. And the awesome thing is like, we see these things in the bunkhouse and we're just like, what is this? Like, what drinking game are we playing? We're going to spin around on a bat and lasso people. Just craziness. But it's really fun because it gives us such an opportunity to ad-lib. And to just like what we see on paper is kind of like helpful suggestions, if you will, which is really kind of cool. And so, and the thing that with working with Wes is because he kind of plays this buttoned up lawyer throughout the entire show. But he really is like a classic kind of comedian. So it's really kind of cool to have these kind of moments where you get to be with him, and obviously he still has to represent himself a certain way while, he's in the bunkhouse. But when you're kind of, in between takes and different setups to kind of do these like ridiculous banters that I get to do with like Jeff and with Ian and with all these other great guys that are there. It's really kind of awesome. And the game itself is one that you can't actually act. Like, you're really spinning around and you're really dizzy.
Really getting dizzy. I love it.
Okay, you're just going to spin around and not get dizzy. Like, no.
It adds the
really
authenticity.
Cool. Yeah. It's cool, but like hour 5 of doing it, not so much. Not that great. But it looked good, and that's all that matters.
Bad vertigo going on.
Yeah.
Spin around, but that looked like a really fun scene to shoot. So first of all, congratulations! You were previously a recurring in season 1 and 2, and now you're a series regular for season 3.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about that when you were promoted? How was that feeling?
To me, it's just, all praises to the Most High. I think for me, one of the biggest things is that, I think it's like seed time and harvest with everything. You put in your dues, and it's awesome to be with a show like this, to be with it with its infant stages, from season 1, episode 1. You never know what it's going to be. Like we all have hopes that it's like, oh, maybe this will go for multiple seasons, but there's been a lot of shows where there's been high hopes with great cast, and then it's like halfway through the season they're just done. So just to get on a show for any type of longevity was awesome. But then obviously when you get promoted to series regular, that's kind of like every actor's dream, I guess, if you will. As far as you kind of it's like you've made it, I guess, in that weird way. It's like weird for me to say, 'cause
your name in the opening credits, all that.
It is what it is. But it was awesome to be able to do it with this show, because I have so many great stories and just the opportunities, man. It was like, I think also for me, it was like you have to be patient with everything, and when the right opportunities come, it's about what you do with those opportunities. And you can't look at them like, oh, this is so small or this, that, and the third. It's like, just be patient. And what's for you will be for you. And then when you get an opportunity to hit a home run, just try to hit it. And it's awesome that I got an opportunity to do that. But then that Paramount, along with Taylor and the entire, crew and production of, Yellowstone thought, you know what, let's give them a little bit more. Was also amazing. It's just a blessing. So I couldn't be more grateful.
Awesome. So with season 3, are there any particular like Colby heavy episodes that we can look forward to?
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot from pretty much like 3 on. There's gonna be there's a lot. It's really we kind of start to go into my own storyline. I think like 9 and 10 are probably the ones that are going to be see, I shouldn't even have said that because now I corrupt. Whatever, it is what it is.
Say what you can.
Towards the end of the season, there's gonna be some really cool things. Just walked right into that one. Great job.
Okay. Well, no, 9 and 10. No, it's something to look forward to. Episode 9 and 10.
But the whole scene, it's really cool because we have a great new actress that's coming onto the show that plays Teeter, which is Jennifer Landon, and she kind of really comes on into the bunkhouse and stirs things up and really does something that's very different. So it's really cool because the rest of these episodes, you're really gonna see what these relationships between Colby and Teeter and in comparison to the rest of the bunkhouse, like what that is. So you'll get this nice little evolution of this storyline, which is really going to be fun to watch.
I love it. And another great thing is there's not many modern westerns out right now. So I think you guys are one of the few modern westerns.
Yeah,
the genre that's untouched.
You really, I think we cornered the market a little bit, and I think it was something that's kind of refreshing. I think, there's so many different TV shows, and a lot of them oftentimes have, this either the same types of scenery or the kind of same storylines. It's just in a different place. Whereas this one, we're not only shooting it, on a soundstage, we're shooting outside. We're shooting it in Mother Nature. We're shooting it with real animals, and so I think you kind of just get a better opportunity to just see everything. And I think that's really refreshing for us as artists, to like not always be on a soundstage, but then to also actually just be out. It's really dope as well. And
I'm sure you've interacted with a lot of horses on the show.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did you know how to ride a horse before the show?
I did a little bit before. I did a film previous, like maybe a month and a half before, where I was also playing a cowboy. But it was a period piece, and we were doing like cattle draws, like so essentially like you ride next to the cattle. But I remember when I went into the auditions with this one, Taylor was like, "Okay, look, whatever horse training you had before, doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, I'm glad that you can ride a horse because it's important, but we're going to be roping horses or roping cattle. And I think in this one, we have like an episode where we do like a 200 wild horse draw where we're pretty much just pushing 200 wild horses. And so like, that's also really dope because it's like, you get on these animals and there's helicopters and there's ATVs and you have no idea, but the training, it's helped you as a person because horses, they're pure spirits. And so whatever energy you put into them is how they're going to react. So it really kind of helps you as a person to be like, remain calm. It's not that big of a deal. Like, just chill out. So I could ride a horse before, but now I can actually say like, I can ride a horse.
That's pretty cool because you're
Question
talking.
number 2. What's the
Go ahead, Sabrina.
what's your horse's name?
My horse's name is Colt, and Colt and I have what you would call a love-hate relationship. It's mainly love. We go, he's very stubborn. He's very hard-headed, which is awesome. So I think if you watch during the season, there'll be a couple of times where it'll be a season where we ride up and we're just supposed to be standing there on the horses or just sitting there. And my horse is kind of doing his own thing. It's not because I can't ride the horse. It's just because he has decided through his own artistic experience to do something different. But he's an amazing horse. It's amazing I think I've been riding him since like the middle of season 1. So it's been 3 years. So it's been kind of amazing like, as I've gotten older, I've gotten more comfortable and he's gotten more used to me. So now it's just kind of he keeps you alive. You know what I mean? Like there's no rest days. No rest days at all.
Awesome. Chachi, you had a question.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that you were talking earlier about Kevin Costner, about different roles, and like some might be a hit, some might not be a hit, but you learn from every one. And you're just talking about your previous role as being a cowboy and dealing with horses, and now you have this, which I'm sure is a bigger role now, and now you're dealing with horses again, which probably helped you out from having that past experience. So it's pretty cool that you just learned from each of your experiences.
Yeah, I think it's the thing. It's like you never know what's gonna happen next. Like you have to take every experience for what it is and maximize it to its fullest. I mean, the film that I did before was called Chickasaw Rancho, which is an amazing film. Hopefully, it comes out somewhere in the fall, maybe
we gotta talk
like
about that
early
one too,
winter. But that's it was awesome because I got to play a real life character, a real life man, Jack Brown.
Cool.
And so it's like you just never know what things are going to lead to, and the actors you're going to work with who are then going to go on to work with other directors or producers that may drop your name, when things are coming up. So, for me, it's always about like you never know who you're talking to, and you never know who you're going to work with. So it's important to just maintain like the highest level of professionalism and work ethic, and never think that anything is too small because a seed starts in the ground and then it can turn into an oak tree. So you just never know.
Right.
Wow.
One thing I love, another thing I love about your show, because it is a phenomenal show, is that you guys push the envelope. Because I'm used to seeing a lot of F-bombs in premium cable shows, and nudity. I'm seeing Kelly Riley in the hot tub nude. I'm like,
oh, nice.
I know it's like
whole, the shows. Paramount is really kind of giving the reins over, if you will. They're just like. But I think the thing is, it's about trying to do everything in an artistic way. What I mean? Like, and the cool thing is, it's like, whatever's written on paper, if you don't feel comfortable saying it or dropping this F-bomb or whatever it may be, then it's not like, oh, you have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, again, so much of the amazingness about Taylor Sheridan and his writing, it's like, so much of it is, he knows what his actors are going to do. And so he's like, look, they're going to get in a situation and there may be no F-bombs or maybe no cussing. And then we may get into the bunkhouse and then there it is. And it's just like the magic of editing. So it's really kind of cool to just like when you get on set, especially in those bunkhouse days, to just kind of just be let off. You know what I mean? And you just get to go and live fully and absolutely just be like really paying attention to one another and just living off of that vibe, which I think for so many different shows, it's kind of like, no, you have to say this. And hey, just, in the middle of a cut, they're running up to you like, it's and this, not and but. It's like, okay, where this show is very much just like, just go with it, get the storyline across, it'll be fine, especially when it comes to the bunkhouse. And so that's really awesome as an artist to be able to do that.
Ah, cool.
Did the nudity surprise you? Like the amount of nudity in the show? Like I was surprised in episode 3. I'm like, it's like, wow.
It's a thing where I don't really ever expect it. And most of the scenes I'm never really in, so it's a thing where you just, again, like you were saying, when you're on cable and when you're on all these different things, you never know how much you're going to be able to get away with.
Right.
And sometimes it's like, oh, this is what's going to be there on the day, but it never makes it to the final edit.
Right.
But for whatever reason, they are able to shoot it in an artistic way, if you will, and the audience hasn't seemed to have any issue with it. Like, ratings continue just to go up. So I guess, it is what it is.
I love it. So how important was it to get a person of color in the main cast? Because Montana's not really known for diversity, is it? The state of Montana,
I think I probably might be the only person of color in Montana when I'm there. But it's really funny because the film that I was doing before, Chickasaw Rancher, we were shooting in the middle of Sulphur, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so Sulphur, Oklahoma, the population was also just me when I was there, of people of color. So I had been there for like 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, and then when they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this other show, it's gonna shoot in the middle of Montana," I kind of like always kind of look up the demographics just to see, just out of curiosity.
Yeah,
and when we're in a town of 2,000 people, you're like, "Oh, okay, well, it's gonna be just me, and whoever I decide to FaceTime." But it was a thing where, I think now you try to walk into every situation. I think as a person of color, as a man of color, you can't walk around with that mindset all the time. Like, I think it's important to have your guard up and to be aware of it. But I think that when you do that, you start to lose certain experiences that you may not be able to have because you're constantly thinking about everything else. And so for this show, it was awesome because it's like you're getting a great Native American presence as well,
True.
And so again, like, these are also kind of, which in society have been represented as kind of outliers, which has been ridiculous since, they're here first. But okay. So, but being able to be on a show where you're kind of also getting that representation, it's also kind of cool, and it's also been nice because you really are learning more about yourself and how to navigate in different situations and circumstances. And every time I've gone back, you have new experiences and you just kind of deal with it, and, August Wilson says, in Fences, he says, you just got to take the crookeds with the straights, and so it's like, I always feel like you get these opportunities and you got the opportunity because you're kind of uniquely designed for the opportunity. And so you just do it. And then hopefully you become a representation that then allows for others to be able to have more opportunities as well. So you kind of learn from it and take it for what it is, but it's definitely been an experience. I've definitely had some unique experience.
So being in that town, I'm sure you guys are going to the restaurants and and seeing the townspeople around there. Has everybody treated you well? And like, I mean, if it's truly like mostly white, you might be able to do examples of somebody of color that they're going to meet.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think all small towns in general, first and foremost, are very protective of their small town. Just first and foremost. And then of course, when you're introducing a person of color into that same situation, you never really know how it's going to go down. And I've had some good experiences and I've had some not so great experiences. But that's also to be expected. You know what I mean? Like, you can't run around everywhere and just think that, everyone's just going to enjoy it. It's like, they never had access, and most of the access, unfortunately, because of the way the entertainment and media often portrays people of color, when that's all they've seen represented, that's what they kind of see, and so, but I've kind of gotten to the point in my life where it's no longer like my job to try to prove anything to you. So I just I am who I am, and it's like I'm going to an establishment and I'm either going to spend money at the establishment or I just won't spend money at the establishment, So, but I would say overall it's been very, very welcoming, very warm, and it's like anything. You go to a bar or anything like that after, shooting at 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. after people have probably been drinking since like 5 or 6, you're going to get some people that are going to get in their feelings and feel some type of way. But for me, it's just my job at that point to say, you just remove yourself, right? Like, you just don't put yourself in those types of situations. You just get your food, you go home, and you enjoy that. For me, it's not about like proving anything. It's about like enduring until the end. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel stronger as a man if I go and get into a bar fight or anything like that. I got a great cast, great cast.
Yeah, you're on a great show. Yeah.
That's all you need.
They got your back. They got your back.
Yeah.
Yes. And they will all tell you at like 100% that they would all get down if they had to. So that's all right. I like to never put them in that type of situation. So
I feel you.
You alluded to a not so great experience. Was it that, or was it something else that you were alluding to?
I think there, I've gotten pulled over several times there, but then again, when you got, again, but, it's always interesting because you have to watch the way that you look at things because, again, in small towns, they're also looking for money, you know what I mean, as well.
Yep.
And oftentimes, like, so
Yep.
you don't
They're
really
stricter.
know, but, it is kind of the way that it is. It's like in all different climates, you kind of get that. And again, like I said, I think that when you mix in a certain bias that's been represented, throughout media and culture already, and then you also mix in alcohol and all these other things, and then the indoctrination that you've had since birth. At a certain point, it's like, how shocked am I going to be at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning? For me, it's like, if my grandparents were alive, they're like, you don't have any business being out anyways. Like, that's the devil's time. So it's like, you just take your tail home, sit at home, mind your business, and come out when you need to. You know what I mean? Like, what do we have to prove?
So, did you guys finish filming before the pandemic, the whole season?
No, so season 3 is done.
Good.
The most I was willing, we're going back in August.
For season 4.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
and Montana not too affected by the COVID-19.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and also, Montana in the
lower,
place that we're in, like,
rated.
we fly into a small airport. Like, it's where you get to take a major airplane in, and you get on the really small one. The one you're like, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Okay, all right, so we made it.
I know what you mean.
And so, but then we also then leave there, and then we shoot in the middle of nowhere, where there's like 2,000 people. And so I think that also helped in being able to kind of move this process along. Whereas a lot of shows that are shot in California and in New York City, they're pretty much just suspending it until the new year. So I think, again, it's like we've been really, really fortunate, really, really blessed. And outside of the actors, it's really the crew. It's like what people don't understand is like the crew are really always on the hustle all the time. And so it's a really, really beautiful thing, to be able to have this opportunity because there's so many people that are unemployed in the entertainment industry. And again, like I said, not talking about the actors, strictly talking about the thing because a lot of the actors, like, you're fine. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting at home, you're good. But it's really cool to be able to have the opportunity to kind of get back to the local community and be able to pump some money into that economy as well is really nice.
I love it. So let's talk about a few more projects that you have because you got you mentioned the Chickasaw Rancher, which again is a very westernish as well. When can we catch this one? I saw an official website, chickasawrancher.com, which is already out. What can we say about this film and when can we see it?
Man, well, I'm hoping it's gonna be fall, winter. It's like I feel like the dates always change. It's like, and now with this thing, you just, again, it's like another thing where you don't know. This was such a blessing, throughout my entire life. Like, one of my major kind of like boxes that I wanted to check off was to be able to play a real life person, and get that experience. And so my first co-starring opportunity came with Chickasaw Rancher, where I got to play this man, Jack Brown, who became Oklahoma's first sharecropper. And so this is really awesome because it's also talking about the Native Americans and Montfort T. Johnson and so it's the Native Americans and kind of the African Americans and their kind of partnership with ranching and cattle draws and stuff like that. And so this is something that happened, I think this was during like 1860s. So there was obviously a lot of prejudices that were going on. And so this is an amazing real life story about these two men that came together to build this empire for cattle draws, where we did like a 400-mile cattle draw with like 1,200 different cattle all the way up. I mean, it's just been amazing. So hopefully it's going to be awesome because you're talking about like Texas scalpers and dealing with all those different types of prejudices that were going on. And obviously what the Native Americans were going on as well, which is not being treated fairly. I mean, we're all very intertwined in a lot of these different ways. So kind of being able to be there with an amazing, sorry, those are my dogs if you guys hear them.
That's all right.
It's also
we're
really awesome
we're dog lovers here.
My other co-star, Martin Sessmeyer, is an amazing actor as well. It was awesome to be able to be there and be a part of that community and be embraced in that way was really, really beautiful. So hopefully, fall, winter, hopefully that'll happen.
Awesome. We can't wait for that. And of course, speaking of period pieces, reading here, you directed and co-wrote something called The Zoo, which is a psychological thriller.
All right.
Okay.
Dog's getting crazy.
Yeah. No doubt.
The dogs will literally burn the house down.
I love it. this is pretty cool. I checked out your teaser for the zoo.
Oh.
You directed and co-wrote this, which is amazing. But it's
I
gonna be a
love
short.
psychological thrillers. Let's
But
hear the.
this is
I
a
want to know what
twist.
it's about.
This is
Okay.
about the Black experience during the Holocaust.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a short film that I could see as a feature, but you're gonna keep it a short film.
It's well,
Yeah.
it's essentially so. Man, it's this has really been something that's been percolating for a while. I think I started down this hole in 2012.
Yeah.
And so yes, it's a short film, but it will be made into something much bigger. We're actually trying to we're gonna turn it into a limited series. I think probably we have a feature film script done for it, but we also want to do a limited series because there's just so much more information. But yeah, so the zoo is something that you know, the biggest thing for me, like my biggest passion has always been like I'm a humongous historian. That's probably the only thing I ever paid attention to in school, and even in history, I never found it really interesting because they didn't really talk about anybody that like looked like me. But I found it fascinating to have the opportunity to know that there were so many other things that were going on. And so one of the things that happened in 2012, I was doing a little light relaxation entertainment and watching Schindler's List. And you know, at the end of the movie, there's like this scroll where they put up, like 7 million, Jews that were killed during the thing. And I kind of thought, I was like, I wonder if there were any people of color that could have gotten caught up in that whole mix, in that environment, because during World War II, for people of color, it was also a place where some people from America fled. I mean, if anybody ever reads James Baldwin or looks at any of his interviews, he talks about how he would go to Paris oftentimes, and sometimes he felt safer in Paris than he did in Harlem. And a lot of people of color left Harlem to join into the war, because for whatever reason they felt safer being in battle than they did here. I mean, just insane. And so one of the things that I came to find out was, you had what was going on in the concentration camps, but you also had, which was kind of a major focal point, which is what was going on in Africa. And what was going on in Africa was the pillaging of Africa. And what you were getting were all of these different countries going in there and splitting it all apart, and taking the gold and the minerals and all this. And so like one of the great things that I realized was like, there's a phenomenal story to be told here. There's so much information, because it's like our ancestors, like one of the things in America, we've kind of been taught that like our history started in 1619 when we got here, in Jamestown, Virginia, during the transatlantic slave trade, as if we didn't have a history before that. And so for me, it's always been about, there's so much that we have endured that hasn't been spoken about. And so one of the things for me, I was like, during this time, Europe was trying to go in and colonize Africa. But the problem that they were having was they were dying because of the heat and because of the climate. And there was different diseases and all these other things. They're like, how come these black people are not dying, but we're dying and we can't do anything? So what they would do is they would capture these black men and they would experiment on them. So they would cut their skin open, put different glass in there, sew it up, bugs, X, Y, and Z. And people go, that's crazy. And it's like, well, look no further than the Tuskegee Project that was happening, during the same time periods here in America.
Right.
And so they would dunk them in water. I mean, just, burn them with heating lamps, and just trying to break some type of genetic code to hopefully crack this code so that they could then go in and really pillage all of Africa. And so one of the things that a lot of people don't know is like King Leopold, that, was in Belgium, that built the great castles there and X, Y, and Z. Well, all of that happened off of the rubber mines from Congo, off of the murdering of 10 to 15 million Congolese men, women, and children, where they were exploiting them to go into these rubber mines and to take this rubber. And then they burnt all the documentation that it even happened, right? And so, but now you're having these great societies that are built up, but you're like, well, where did they get all of it? Like, where did you get all of these things? And there's only one continent in the world where all of these different minerals, that what we're talking to right now, everything came from a mineral from Africa. And so for me, it was so important to kind of talk about these stories and talk about these men and what they endured during this time. And it's also a double entendre, because the zoo is also physical places that they set up, not only here in America, but also around the world, where they would take men, women of color, and they would reenact an environment that you would see in the Saharas of Africa, and people would go and they could buy tickets to go and watch them interact, and this is a thing that happened. And so the zoo became this thing. That's why our tagline is, the zoo is never just for animals, because we have to also remember that, yes, although Thomas Jefferson said that all men were created equal, this was also during the time when we had 300 slaves, and also said that within those same documentation that people of color were 3/5 human. So he wasn't really talking about us, he was talking about everybody else. And so for me, the zoo is an opportunity to start a conversation, but to do it through a form of entertainment, because I think that that's the one thing that everybody you can really break through the cognitive dissonance more when you put something in a form of entertainment, and then on the back end of it, you can have a bigger conversation. So that's really what this is. And so I'm really excited, man. My team that I have, the amazing producers, and the actors that just poured themselves into this, these amazing men. I mean, just really gave everything. But this is something this was for our ancestors, and this is something that it was important to show that they didn't endure all of these things to just not be remembered and not have their stories told. And this is just one of my opportunities that I wanted to take to be able to do that. And I've been blessed to be able to have the opportunity to do so.
And I saw the teaser trailer was fantastic, and capturing anything period piece on an independent level, you guys nailed it. I thought you guys did it's hard. So you guys did a really good job with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. When can we see it?
It's going, so the film is tomorrow will be like officially done. And so now we're in talks to see how we're going to put it out there. I know inevitably, it's going to be out to the masses. I know we're going through some different channels because we want some people to kind of get some first looks at it, to see how we want to develop it. But to me, I didn't get into entertainment because of like money and fame and all these other things. Like I wanted to just tell stories. And so I've just been so blessed to be able to kind of get on this train, to be able to start telling these stories. And so the goal is that we'll be able to just have it out there so everyone can kind of see, but that more so we'll be able to actually have more dialogue, because the most important thing I think that we've lost in this country is curiosity. Like our critical thinking has just been shot. And so the goal is that when you see something like this, that you go, I didn't even know this happened, never even heard of it, and that it sounds so extreme that it'll force you to go look it up. And then when you go look it up and find out that it's real, that will then make you go, well, what else might I know? Like, what else don't I know? Like, well, if they didn't talk about this, did they not talk about this? And then just allow your imagination to run wild. And the really unfortunate thing is whatever you can think of that you would think couldn't happen actually did. And that's really, really sad, but it's really, really important, because for me, as a people, if you don't know where you came from, you can't know where you're going. And this is a part of our history that we need to understand. So as things are going forward, we can reach back and go, there were certain warnings, there were certain things, there were certain signs that they were trying to tell us. And now it's just our job to use our platforms to actually do something bigger with it.
All right. Wow. Well said. And it's something, of course, during these crazy social injustice, racial injustice times, it's certainly something that people need to see and educate themselves, I feel.
Seed time and harvest. It's all about having things come out at the right time. So, we've been blessed to be able to finish it. We actually finished the last day of shooting the day before they shut everything down. And so
crazy.
Again,
Brilliant luck.
That's
like, awesome.
All praises the Most High.
Thank
because,
God,
that's
right?
Brilliant luck.
We never would have gotten it done. Like it would never happen. The last day. So it was really awesome. Just a blessing.
Awesome.
So I'm really excited to share it. And when it's done, I'll just send it to you guys. You guys can take a look at it. And
awesome. We're excited to see it.
Awesome. And we can't forget, before we let you go, throw out a plug for Good Trouble on Freeform. You're recurring on that as well. A celebrity stylist of sorts, yeah?
He's really interesting storyline. I never imagined being able to be on the show. It was an awesome experience to have been able to flex a different muscle. And the writers and the creators. I mean, it's a show that a lot of people, it resonates with so many people. And it wasn't necessarily like a network that I was even plugged into, beforehand. So it was it was a beautiful opportunity to have. And the people there are beautiful and amazing to work with, and a lot of them became friends. And it was awesome because when you have shows like that, show started as The Fosters, which I think went on for like 7 seasons.
Yes,
and so it's kind of cool to be able to go on there, and you didn't feel like they were like making you kind of initiate yourself. You just automatically were a part of what they were doing. And so that was really cool as well, to kind of be on a show that has had such stability and the rollover, but then to also come on as a new person and just be welcomed was really, really awesome.
Awesome. Wow. So you can check Denim out in 2 great television shows, guys. Yellowstone on Paramount, and of course, Good Trouble on Freeform. Man, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Well,
Thank you
before
so
we go,
much.
like I was reading here that for
Yes.
Yellowstone that like Harvey Weinstein was actually involved early on. Did you have any kind of
Oh,
was he actually on
wow.
set or anything, or was he already
No,
gone by that point?
it was interesting. I think we had he was on I think halfway through season 1. I think.
Oh, was he really?
But he wasn't on the show. Like it was just a name. Like he never showed. He never showed up or anything. And again, it's like you get in. Everything with entertainment is so ambiguous, right? Like it's
Right.
like you go in from you come in with a certain level of principles and ideologies and thought processes, and then you get in and oftentimes it's not that, but that seems like a lot of big businesses and a lot of entertainment like industry-based things are like that. So I never had any like association with him. Didn't his name was obviously on the call sheet, and then quickly it was not. So
Canceled.
But yeah,
Harvey
I think
Weinstein.
halfway through season 1, his name was definitely on there, but I didn't have anything to do with them. So thank you. All praises to the Most High. So my hands are completely clean. So for anybody that wants to know, I'm good. Dig if you want to. You're not gonna find anything.
Harvey's probably like, oh, she's gonna be naked in a tub outside. I gotta be there. I gotta be there.
That would have been a day that I would have respectively called in sick. So it would have been okay.
Wow, Denim, phenomenal interview. Thanks so much for talking to us here on Below the Belt Show.
Thank you so much.
So before I let you go, if you could let us know who you are, throw out a plug for Yellowstone, Good Trouble, the Zoo, whatever you want, and let us know you're on Below the Belt Show.
Yes.
And whatever you want at the end, a plug, a catchphrase,
Got you.
joke.
All right, y'all. I'm Denim Richards. I've had the amazing opportunity to be on a phenomenal show, Below the Belt. You can find me on Instagram, which is @Denim Richards. I post sometimes, not all the time. And yes, you can watch me on Yellowstone, which is season 3, Paramount Network on Sundays, 9/8 Central. It's a phenomenal show, but more importantly, it's about getting back to you guys and making sure you get back to the curiosity. So dig, 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 and dig. And when you can't keep digging, dig more. All right, y'all. Be blessed.
Yes, that was awesome. That was dope. Denim, have a great night, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for
and I'll be
taking the
watching.
time. I look forward to hearing for it.
And you got a new fan in Yellowstone, so.
Thank you guys so much. Well, I'll look forward to hearing the interview, and I'll make sure to send the film when we're
yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Our good friends at PR Machines, tell them to forward it over.
All right, y'all. Be blessed. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. See you later.